Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Mr. Squire's Civics and Economics class. Yes. So, last week we went over CE9, which talked all about the role of media and its influence on public policy. This week we're jumping into CE10, which focuses on the judicial systems, or what we know as the judicial branch. Okay? The essential questions for CE10A are: how are federal courts organized, and what jurisdiction does each exercise? Also, how are state courts organized, and what jurisdiction does each exercise? So, let's jump into the essential understanding. Next, the essential understanding is the judicial functions is exercised in a dual court system which consists of state courts and federal courts. Now let's get into the meat of things. Yeah. CE10A states the United States has a court system whose organization and jurisdictions are derived from the Constitution of the United States and federal laws. The organization or structure is the U.S. Supreme Court, which has justices, no jury, appellate, and limited original jurisdiction. Then you have the U.S. Court of Appeals, which consists of judges, has no jury, and has appellate jurisdiction. Last, you have the U.S. District Court, which consists of a judge and with or without a jury and is entitled to original jurisdiction. What jurisdiction pretty much means, ladies and gentlemen, is authority, okay, or power. So whenever you hear the word jurisdiction, what is going to come to your mind, or what word will come to your mind? Correct. Authority or power. Moving on. So now let's go into state courts. Virginia, like each of the other 49 states, has its own separate court system whose organization and jurisdiction are derived from Virginia's Constitution and state laws. Virginia Supreme Court consists of justices, no jury, and has an appellate jurisdiction as well as a limited original jurisdiction. Underneath it is the Court of Appeals, which consists of judges, no jury, and has appellate jurisdiction. Then underneath it consists of the Circuit Court, which has a judge and may be with or without a jury, and exercises original jurisdiction. Last, you have the General District Court, which also focused on juvenile domestic relations as well as small claims. This court consists of a judge, no jury, and has original jurisdiction. Okay? So, the national courts have 3 courts. The state courts have 4. Got it? Good. Now let's move on to CE10B, which focuses on the Supreme Court and exercising the power of judicial review. Let's move to the essential question and essential understandings. Now, the essential question reads, what is judicial review? The essential understanding is the power of judicial review is an important check on the legislative and executive branches of government. We will better understand that now. The Supreme Courts of the United States and Virginia determine the constitutionality of laws and acts of the executive branch of government. This power is called judicial review. The famous court case known as Marbury v. Madison established the principle of judicial review at the national level. The Constitution of the United States of America is the supreme law of the land, and state laws must conform to the Virginia and the United States constitutions. Okay? And what this pretty much means is, again, the courts check the acts or actions between these lawmaking bodies or these executive officers to make sure that the acts or actions that are carried out are constitutional or unconstitutional. If it is unconstitutional, then it must be reversed. Okay? All right. Now, let's move on to CE 10C, which focuses on criminal cases and civil cases. To better understand that, first, let's go over the essential questions as well as the essential understanding. The essential question reads, how are criminal and civil cases similar and different? The essential understanding is that courts resolve two kinds of legal conflicts: civil and criminal. Let's further evaluate that now. Criminal cases. See, in a criminal case, a court determines whether a person accused of breaking the law is guilty or not guilty of a misdemeanor or a felony. To better understand it, let's evaluate the procedures of a criminal case. First, a person is accused of a crime may be arrested if the police have probable cause. Next, the accused may be committed to jail or released on bail. After that, the case proceeds to an arraignment where the probable cause is reviewed and an attorney may be appointed for the defendant and a plea is entered. Next, a court date is set and a trial is conducted. And lastly, if found guilty, a guilty verdict may and can be appealed. Now, let's evaluate a civil case. In a civil case, a court settles a disagreement between two parties to recover damages or receive compensation. The procedures for civil cases. The plaintiff first files a complaint to recover damages or receive compensation. Next, cases can be heard by a judge or a jury, and if found guilty, a guilty verdict can and may be appealed. Now that we have both evaluated what criminal cases are and what civil cases are, as well as their procedures, I hope that it gives us a better understanding between the two and how they are similar yet different. Okay? Cool. Now, moving on to CE 10D, which focuses on due process. To better understand that, let's first evaluate the essential questions as well as the essential understanding. The essential question reads, how do the due process protections ensure justice? The enduring understanding states the right to due process of law is outlined in the 5th and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. To better understand that, let's evaluate it now. To better understand due process, you must know what it means. It is the constitutional protection against ungovernmental actions and laws. To better understand due process and its protections, you have to evaluate the 5th and the 14th Amendment. The 5th Amendment prohibits the national government from acting in an unfair manner, meaning that the government cannot treat the people unfairly according to race, gender, and whatever it may be. Also, the 14th Amendment, which focuses on due process, prohibits the states and local governments from acting in an unfair manner. Again, these are all talking about violating natural rights that are protected by the Constitution. Lastly, we must understand that the Supreme Court has extended these guarantees or the guarantees of the Bill of Rights based upon the Due Process Clause. So just like I said before, pretty much due process protects individuals' natural given rights that cannot be violated by the government. Got it? Good. Now that we have covered everything from CE 10A, which talks about the structures or the organizations and jurisdictions of the courts, down to CE 10D, which talks about due process at the national and state level. Take a moment to read back over your notes so that you have a better understanding of the judicial systems. Okay? With that being said, as always, it is your wild and crazy yet loving teacher, Mr. Squire. Peace out.